Hi, my name is Beth Heidorn. I'm the Executive Director here at the Racine Zoo. We are one of only 232 accredited zoos and aquariums across the country. That means we adhere to the highest standards of animal care, education, vet care, and everything that makes a zoo or aquarium operate. So, AZA stands for the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. We are proud to be a member of AZA, and we appreciate all the things that they do for us. One of the things that we work on with our animals here at the Racine Zoo is operant conditioning. Positive reinforcement is an activity that we use with our animals. We reward them when they do the things that we want them to do and we need them to do as part of their animal care and animal welfare. Occasionally, however, when we want a behavior to happen, the animal has the right to choose to not participate in it, even if it's being positively rewarded. And that's okay. We will never force our animals to do anything, even if it's part of their animal care and welfare. So it's their choice to not participate. Makes it a little bit more challenging for our zookeepers and our animal care staff, but that's okay. We will always get the job done. We want the animals to love what they're doing and to make sure that they're positively reinforced. When they do participate in that, then we know they really want to participate in the behavior, and it helps all around with their animal care and the animal welfare, and it makes our zookeepers and our vet staff very, very happy. So, welcome to today's show. We are here at Racine Zoo to you, and we're very, very excited that you're going to be joining us today and listening and learning some great things from our fabulous animal care staff, as well as the animals that we have here at the Racine Zoo. Thanks for watching.
The supervisor here in animal care at the Racine Zoo. All of the training that you guys are going to see throughout the episode today, we use positive reinforcement. We like to make our training sessions exciting and keep them fun for our animals so that they stay engaged and want to participate throughout the training sessions. A lot of our training goals are based on husbandry behaviors, so that could be anything from voluntary hoof trims, voluntary blood draws, voluntary injections, weights, anything along those lines that would help assist in their medical care and make exams less stressful and a little bit easier on the keepers and the animals as well. We use this training in all areas throughout the zoo, so not just with the rhinos and the giraffes that you guys are going to see today, but we use it with our primates and our large carnivores and basically any of the animals that you guys are going to see here. So what happens is our keepers, they break these behaviors down into smaller steps, and then they work on reinforcing those smaller steps to build up to those more important, larger behaviors. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of time for our keepers to work with the animals, build a trusting relationship first, and then they build up to those more important husbandry behaviors. Here at the Hartman's Mountain Zebra exhibit at the Racine Zoo, there's 3 species of zebra: mountain, Grevy's, and plain zebra. Both the mountain zebras are part of the Species Survival Plan. So the Species Survival Plan is run by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and they have the genetic information in what we call a stud book for all of the animals in AZA institutions, which there's only about 19 AZA zoos that are part of the Hartman's Mountain Zebra Species Survival Plan, so we're very excited to be part of that. We're hoping to have a baby in the next few years because Obi is 4, so he should be about 6 or 7 before he is able to breed. Both of our Hartman's Mountain Zebra are scale trained here at the Racine Zoo, so Obi gets on the scale and that helps us to monitor his health. Promise getting on the scale also helps us to check for pregnancy, so if she's to gain weight quickly, we can also start to do blood tests to check for pregnancy. Even if we haven't seen any breeding yet, because they're together overnight, so we might not observe them breeding successfully, but we may have a pregnancy and not know about it. Both of our zebras are mouth trained, so they can open their mouth on command by using this hand motion and saying mouth. When they open their mouth wide enough to display their teeth and then hold it, we will bridge them using a whistle, and then they get rewarded for this behavior. These behaviors were trained differently by each zebra, so Obi would offer his mouth to be opened at his window all the time, so we did what we call capture training, where we just bridge and reward for that and associate the word later. We had Promise elicit the behavior through a tapping on her lip, and then she would open her lips, and then we tied that to the cue. So each animal has its own way to train. Promise came to us and was very non-tactile, and Obi came to us not tactile, but more accepting of a tactile. So we do tactile training and brushing with both of our zebras. Another behavior that we work on is what we call tactile training, which is touching their bodies and their legs. So tactile training is important for keeping their body sensory, as well as being able to treat any wounds or injuries that they may have. So you'll see them out here rolling in their sand pit or their mud for fun. So it helps us to keep them a little bit cleaner and then keep everything nice. So the tactile behavior, Obi was more accepting of it, so we moved from stationing his face in a position with our hand and then working up his face, checking his ears, checking his eyes, and then working down his neck and onto his body, as well as we've transitioned that into a blood draw behavior as well for him with his face stationed. The Promise was not accepting of tactile when she first got here, so we have worked on that. Her first command was just target, so she puts her nose to a boat buoy. Then she was not accepting of any human touching, so we worked on just her presenting her nose to my hand flat, and we call that touch. As she initiated that, we then began to introduce a brush to that, because that sensation is a little bit more pleasing for them to brush their own face on a brush. So we worked on touch being to a brush, and then we moved the brush onto her body. So we're all the way at tactile for her body. Obi can tactile his legs, so we're hoping to get her there eventually as well for hoof trims and behaviors. The reason that we moved a little bit slower with Promise's training is because she wasn't comfortable. And the whole point of positive reinforcement is to make sure that the animal is participating in their care. So if we have to slow it down to what we think are even baby steps, we're going to do that to make sure that they're comfortable, and eventually we will get where we need to be.
So here at the Racine Zoo, we do what's called operant conditioning, where we reward for positive reinforcement. We don't do any sort of negative reinforcement. So every time the animal does something that we want them to do, we will bridge them and then reward them with a treat. So our bridge for the rhinos is a whistle. So every time we cue for them to do a certain behavior and they do it correctly, we will whistle, and then that's followed by a reward. For the blood draw training, this is something that had been worked on for quite some time. What we do for this is we cue for Timu to line up, and line up consists of putting her body in a certain position in parallel with the bolsters. Her whole body needs to be in line, and that left foot needs to come forward. So that's what we're looking for when we cue the term line up. She puts her left leg forward, and then she is bridged with her reward, and we say steady. So steady is the cue to hold this position that she is currently in. When she is holding this position, we have a secondary body feeding her treats and rewards, and at that time she is perfectly happy. She can stand there all day because she's getting fed. And that's when I will clean the surface with an alcoholic gauze pad, and then we poke her with our 21 gauge needle and we get the blood from her. And this doesn't hurt her. She doesn't even flinch most of the time. She usually stands there perfectly still like a great little rhino. And we are able to do progesterone blood draws twice every week, which is key to, monitor any breeding or fertility stance on where she is. After I have gotten the blood and we are done with that behavior, I will whistle again, and usually this whistle is a little bit of a longer cue, and that kind of cues to her that she is able to release from the position that she's holding, and then she gets another big handful of treats and we are all done.
I'm Lori. I'm the giraffe keeper here at the Racine Zoo. I will be the primary keeper for about 2 years, but I've been working at the Racine Zoo for 4 years. Zookeeping is a very competitive field, so as you can imagine, I've worked a lot of jobs, from a petting zoo in Libertyville to a butterfly seasonal at Brookfield. And giraffes have always been my favorite animal, so I'm very happy to be able to work with them every day. Right now we're in the giraffe chute system, so this is how they move from their barn, which is very tall for them because they're tall guys, and then onto their exhibit every day. They are used to moving through the chute. They don't need to be persuaded. They're ready to move every day, which is good conditioning for them because it's hard to move an animal that is over 2,000 pounds every single day, unless they would like to go where they are going. Mac and Jabari here at the Racine Zoo are both Maasai giraffes, so there's 4 species of giraffe: Maasai, Northern, Southern, and Reticulated. They are as genetically different as a brown bear from a polar bear. Maasai giraffes are my personal favorite though, because they're the darkest species of giraffe as well as the tallest. So you might notice when you come here to the zoo that Jabari is a lot lighter in color than Mac is. As he ages, he's going to darken up and he will be about the same shade, and also he will grow to be the same height as Mac. Today we're here to tell you about our 2 male giraffes. We have Mac, who's our full-grown male and is 13 years old, and Jabari, who is 4 years old and came to us from the Cleveland Zoo about 2 years ago. So I've been able to take care of Jabari the entire time he's been here, and I've also been working with Mac for about 4 years now. They each have their own distinct personalities. Mac is very pensive and likes to think about everything he's gonna do. It takes him a while to learn a new trained behavior because each little step he really assesses and thinks about before performing it. Jabari is very training motivated. He'll do pretty much whatever you want as long as you have food. Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad because he doesn't have the focus that Mac has when training. So we have 2 males here, which we like to call a bachelor pad. In zoo populations, there's usually an excess of males because one male will breed with multiple females. So you need another zoo that will hold a few males together. We don't have any trouble with them necking or sparring because of the fact that there's no females for them to compete for, which is the main reason that they would neck or spar. The main behavior we're working on this year is their hoof trim behavior. So far we've got Jabari all the way to trimming his front feet. We're going to work on back feet next. All this has to be done voluntarily and in small steps by building their trust. Mac is presenting his feet and allowing us to clean out his feet as well as examine them. And then we'll also be working towards getting x-rays on both sets of feet. The behavior we worked on last year mainly was blood draw behavior. So Jabari is a pro at this. He blood drawn from about every other week if we need it from the vet. This helps us to assess his health and also make sure that he is doing well. We can take a full sample of blood, which is about 3 to 4 milliliters of blood in one training session. They both also get onto a scale, and we use that behavior to check their weights and make sure that they are healthy and happy here at the zoo. So another thing that I like to talk about with our giraffes is that they are browsers in the wild. So here at the zoo we provide them as much browse as we possibly can. And we also freeze browse throughout the entire summer to be able to provide browse all winter.
Welcome to our rhino barn. So I'm standing in one stall of our massive rhino barn at the Racine Zoo, and we were lucky recently to be able to upgrade our floors here in the barn. So previously we had concrete floors, which is common in a lot of zoos, but we were able to add in some new rubber flooring that makes it extra cozy and comfy for our animals up here. The rhinos and giraffes can weigh up to 3,000 pounds. One of our rhinos, they just got weighed a couple weeks ago, was 2,900 pounds, so that's a lot. So if you can imagine, with all of that weight walking around on the floor, these much softer rubber flooring is going to make it much better on their joints. So we were able to upgrade it in the rhino barn and the giraffe barn, so they've got these comfy new floors to lay on. If you think about if you're camping and in a tent, a nice comfy mat on the floor is going to be way comfier than just sleeping on the regular ground. That's kind of what we did for our animals here at the Racine Zoo. Behind me, you'll notice this fire hose curtain. This is just one of the enrichment items that we use here at the Racine Zoo. You might see other items laying around in the barn. Those are all just other enrichment items that we use. And we like to use enrichment to keep our animals active and healthy and keep them occupied throughout the day. You'll learn more about all the other enrichment devices that we use in another episode of our show.
We've learned a lot through this episode about how positive reinforcement with our animals and allowing them to participate in their daily care can make a better situation overall for the animals, for the people, and keep everyone happy and healthy. We also utilize that for educational programs with our animals. My name's Asia Summers, and I am our Conservation Education Manager here at the Racine Zoo, which means that I oversee all of the education programming that happens here. And that does include work that we do with our animals here in the Land of the Giants, like our giraffes, rhinos, and zebras. Not only do we bring school groups to the visitor side to see these animals, but we also bring people behind the scenes, in behind-the-scenes safaris, behind-the-scenes encounters, and for some of our overnight programs, like our slumber safari. As you can imagine, for large animals that are sometimes prey in the wild, like a rhino or a giraffe, bringing a lot of strangers into their space is something that could create some problems for those animals. And that's why it's so important that we utilize the bonds and the relationships that our keepers and staff form with the animals to make sure that we keep all of those interactions low stress and actually positive and fun for the animals. We never bring people in behind the scenes with an animal who isn't one that enjoys that experience. We don't do any behind the scenes encounters with our zebras because the zebras have communicated to us through their behaviors that that's not something they enjoy, and that's completely okay. Our rhinos and our giraffes, on the other hand, actually really enjoy being visited by guests, largely because their guests always make sure to bring the favorite treats of those animals. So we always make sure that we prepare some of those diets. Before we go back into a behind-the-scenes space with our animals, we always make sure that we give them all of the rules and guidelines to make sure that the guests keep it positive and stick within what we have trained our animals to be used to and to expect. We'll never have any guest reach up and touch a giraffe's face because the giraffes have told us they don't like that. We will never have anyone go inside a space with the animals because that's into their territory and they don't like that. But what we can have them do is offer food to those animals and get up close and personal. And that is an amazing experience for a guest. When you get to see an animal up close, that's just a wildly different experience. And that's the entire point of being a zoo. It's not enough to read about animals in books and see them in pictures or on TV. Believe me, when you are up close and personal and you are 2 feet away from a 3,000-pound rhinoceros, that's going to leave an impact. And that's what we do at the zoo. We bring as many people as we can, from Girl Scout groups to college lectures, into those spaces with those animals, because I firmly believe, our staff firmly believes, and the entire AZA, or Association of Zoos and Aquariums community, believes that when you can see an animal up close, you're going to learn to appreciate that animal. Zebras, giraffes, rhinos, and so many other animals at the Racine Zoo are facing incredible dangers in the wild. And if we can get our guests up close and personal with those animals so that they can appreciate the animals and appreciate what's happening to them in the wild, we think that that's going to motivate them to take care of them and to make changes in their own life for the benefit of wildlife.
It has been great, man. I never thought like how close you could actually get like to the animals. You know, feeding a rhinoceros is ridiculous. The giraffe's really cool. It's just been unlike nothing else that we've gotten to do at a zoo before. It's been really cool.
So far, it's been incredible. I'm actually very surprised at how much you can do here at the Racine Zoo. I've lived in Racine all my life and I've never been able to go backstage. So to be able to get that close and personal with so far the rhinos and the giraffes has been like overwhelmingly outstanding.
I really liked the tour so far, and it was fun feeding the animals.
My name's Jason Schwartz. I am a keeper here at the Racine Zoo. I got my start in zookeeping at Moorpark College. There's an exotic animal training and management program. We spend 2 years there as a student keeper, doing all the normal book work and studying that all students have to do, as well as taking care of the animals on the zoo on campus. So we are also doing all of the keeper work, getting trained up on that. When I graduated from Moorpark, I came here to Racine and started in the animal care internship program. From there, I was able to stick around as a volunteer. After my volunteer time ended, I was able to get hired on as a seasonal keeper. I worked down in the Norco aviary and also on the farm with all of our goats and sheep and pigs and camelids. After my time in the farm and aviary, I was able to get hired in as a commissary keeper. So I worked at night making all the diets for all of the zoo animals. I was able to check on everybody at night, make sure everybody was happy and healthy. And eventually, after being in the commissary for a while, I made it in as a part-time keeper, helping out with our animal ambassadors, and eventually a full-time permanent keeper, and I now help out up here at the Land of Giants. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about some fun behaviors. We like to do paintings with our animals here at the zoo. It's something fun for them. It's more of an enrichment behavior that we train. We do only use positive reinforcement, so you'll get to see that the animals are rewarded for doing the correct behavior. It's something really fun for them, something that stimulates their mind and their body, and it's a great way to also raise some money for conservation efforts and to purchase more enrichment items for these guys. So you'll see that the giraffes will actually reach out their chin and dip it onto a tray of paint. We only ever use the safe, non-toxic, washable paint so it can come right off after. Once they've got some paint on their chin, we'll actually hold out a canvas for them and ask them to paint again, and they'll kind of do a little head bob and dip their chin on the canvas, and that's how we get these awesome works of art that they make. We can also paint with our rhinos up here, who actually use a little bit different technique. They'll use their prehensile lip, which is kind of working like an extra finger, and in this case it'll work as a paintbrush. So we'll do the same thing where we hold out a tray full of some of that washable non-toxic paint. They'll kind of wiggle their prehensile lip into the paint to get it on their brush, so to speak. And then we'll do the same thing where we hold out a canvas, ask them to paint, and they can use their prehensile lip and make a nice little abstract work of art for everybody to see. We paint with quite a few different animals here at the zoo, aside from just the giraffes and the rhinos. We've got a lot of our animal ambassadors trained to paint. Same thing where they'll paint in whatever unique way they have, whether it's slithering through like a snake or walking across with their footprints. And once they've done that correct behavior, to reward them and encourage them to keep doing that kind of behavior, we'll give them a nice treat, whether it's a part of their diet or a special treat that they get just for painting, something that they really enjoy, to reinforce the good behavior that we want to continue to happen.
What a wonderful day we've had here at the zoo in this episode of Racine Zoo to You. We've been spending our time up here at the land of the giants. You've met our animal care staff, you've met our education staff, you've seen positive reinforcement with the animals that we have up here, you've seen animals paint, you've seen a behind the scenes tour. Wow, awesome. Come to the Racine Zoo. We are located in Racine. We're the only accredited zoo in Racine County. We're just north of downtown, right on Lake Michigan. Please come and enjoy, spend some time with us, spend some time with our animal care staff, see our wonderful animals, buy a painting in our gift shop. We look forward to seeing you here at the Racine Zoo, and we hope that you have an awesome day, and we'll see you next week on Racine Zoo to You.